Hi guys, James at Rampant Lion Reviews again for you today with another beer review. For this one we are going to head over to America once again, and we're going to go to a different part of the States that I've never reviewed anything from, and this is what I always like. There's great beer from lots of different places in America. For this one we're going to go to the capital city, Washington DC, the District of Columbia, my first ever beer from there, and we're going to try my first beer from DC Brau, if I'm going to give it the kind of Americanized name. Of course if it was German it would be DC Boy, but this is one of the beers that we had very recently in the small partiers over here in Sweden. This one came out on the 3rd of August if I'm remembering correctly, and it's called Turbo Boost Multiball, an IPA coming in at 6.7%. They've used a Norwegian farmhouse yeast in this one, if you like, so it should be a very interesting beer. I've heard good things from some of my friends that have already drank theirs that they bought, so looking forward to this one, and as always I hope you guys enjoy my take on this beer. Apparently this isn't the last of the beers that we're going to get from these guys in Scandinavia either, so hopefully some of the other ones make it across here. So anyway, as is usual with my reviews then, I'll tell you a little bit about the brewery. If you want to get straight to the tasting, just fast forward. All the usual links are in the description below. That's the brewery website, the link to my future reviews that hopefully I can do from DC Brau. Those, you know, they won't be too far away in the near future. There's all the usual social media. If you want to see more beer reviews, do please consider subscribing to the channel. The whole channel of course has a geography based tagging system, so you can go into the homepage and search for beer based on country, city, state, county, prefecture, whatever it is you're interested in. Do check out the playlist of beers from different countries. There is one there for all the American beers that I've reviewed for you. That's constantly being added to, and as always please do get in touch and let me know some of the other beers and breweries that you guys would like to see me review. It's always great to hear from you guys that are watching the videos, and the support that you show the channel is hugely appreciated. So anyway, on to my brewery notes then about DC Brau. So these guys, as I mentioned to you, DC Brau, as the name suggests, are based in Washington DC, and they were founded back in 2009 by Brandon Skal and Jeff Hancock. So Brandon apparently manages the business side of the brewery, while Jeff is the brewmaster, and he's brewed previously for Grizzly Peak and Arbor Brewing, both of whom were based in Michigan, and then also Flying Dog Brewing, who I believe are now based in Frederick in Maryland, which is just outside of DC of course, so that would make sense. So DC Brau are apparently the first brewery to operate within the District of Columbia since 1956 when the Heurich brewery closed, but in 2011 they tapped their first keg of beer, which was called the Public. I think that was an American type pale ale, and over the last few years they've continued to grow their capacity, and they successfully lobbied the city council to pass a bill that meant that they could have beer tastings on the premises, which was on the premises where they were brewed actually, because before that they were allowed to do tastings at supermarkets and things like this, but breweries that actually opened up in the District of Columbia could not have their own tasting rooms. So they do now have their own tasting rooms. They offer brewery tours and things like that as well, and you can get your growlers filled at the brewery too. But I've heard very good things from my friends, like I said, who have tried this beer already, and like I say, it shouldn't be the last one that we receive over here in Scandinavia. We'll probably have more luck going over to Copenhagen to get some of the different ones, but every couple of months I'm sure here in Sweden we'll get the different ones through Systembolaget and the small partiers. So definitely looking forward to this, and that's all you really need to know about the brewery. So let's get on to the tasting. If you want to learn a little bit more about the brewery, of course, check out the brewery website and stuff in the description below. You can follow them on Facebook, but they do seem to be quite a prolific brewery. On Rate Beer they had something like 150 different beers listed there, so do check them out. They seem to be doing a lot of different stuff. So I have to admit, I do like the artwork on this can there. You can see all the pinball machines and stuff like that. I really think that's a pretty cool artwork. I need to see if I can take the label off this and keep it actually, but there, for those of you watching in America, there you can see that is our pant symbol, so we get £1 back for recycling the beers. And yeah, you can see brewed and canned in Washington DC by DC Brau Limited LLC. So yeah, as I say, in German we would call this DC Brau, but the Americans, you know, they don't use the umlaut, so it will be DC Brau if I'm not mistaken. But yeah, 473 millilitres this one, 6.7% ABV, and it's been imported to Sweden by Great Brands, who import a lot of American beers over here. But yeah, it should be really nice. So I guess without further ado, let's get this guy out and on with the tasting. The other note that I had on this beer is that it's brewed with a Norwegian farmhouse yeast, which is called Kvosvik, and it's hopped with Mosaic, Azaka and Simcoe hops, so it should be really quite nice actually. Definitely looking forward to this. Oh, there we are, a little bit excited as it comes out. Just let it settle and we'll get it out and into the glass. There we go. That'll be the farmhouse yeast that's doing that. I'll tell you something, as soon as you open up this beer, the passion fruits are coming out, and that's the Simcoe. Simcoe always gives you these nice passion fruits. I think we're going to have to let this one settle a bit. It seems to have been, it seems to have got a little bit excited. That tends to happen when you have farmhouse yeast. You know, it happens, and then Belgian yeast as well can be a little bit notorious for that. But I'll tell you something, the fruity aroma that's coming off this beer is absolutely lovely. It's got a big orangey and passion fruit note. But as you can see, there's a massive head on that beer. In terms of colour, I would say it's a sort of, it's not quite perfect height. It's got a little bit of creaminess to the colour of the head in this one. One or two big bubbles sticking towards the side of the glass, quite a few little ones heading up towards the bottom of that head there. But you know, overall it does look pretty nice. If I put my fingers behind the glass as well, you can see the beer is quite hazy, but it looks, you know, very nice and pretty much as you would expect from an IPA. So yeah, not much more to say about it on that count. So let's take a closer look at the aroma and just see how we get on with this. Yeah, so I mean, as you would expect, big fruity juicy aroma coming out of this one. You know, there's passion fruit in there. That'll be the Simcoe that gives you that. The Simcoe's always a nice big passion fruity hop. There's a nice little bit of orangey quality to this one. You get that both from the Azacca and from the Mosaic in this one. Both of them have a sort of tangerine element. You can smell that there's a little bit more kind of sharpness to that orange, which really, you know, it'd be clementines or tangerines you would kind of associate with that. So those are definitely, you know, that aroma is definitely coming from the Mosaic and from the Azacca in this one. But yeah, there's a little bit of pineapple again. That's Azacca, I'm sure, that gives you the pineapple. And when you sugar it up a little bit more, I think there's a little bit of a sort of berryish note to this one. You know, Mosaic can give you sort of blueberries, but this one, it definitely has a little bit of that kind of berryish note to it as well, which is quite interesting. But what I'll say about the beer as well, you definitely get this big bready presence, and that'll be the yeast coming out, of course. The farmhouse yeast, you know, you always get this nice big bready, almost wheaty quality from them, and you can really pick that up in this beer. Yeah, so definitely a nice big wheaty, bready base to this one. I don't know if there's a... To me, it smells as if there's a little bit of an oaty quality to it as well. It does seem like it has a little bit of that slight kind of creaminess. Yeah, I think there's a wee bit of creaminess to this one. But yeah, definitely a little bit of creaminess. There's a little bit of sweetness to it as well. I think there's maybe some biscuity qualities to the aroma here. But in terms of the more kind of straight up elements of the hops, there's a good little bit of floral, very slight kind of floral spicy note coming out of this one. You can really pick that up on the front of the nose. But obviously it has a little bit of the kind of lighter, smoother kind of grassy notes to the beer as well, which is nice. So just take a little bit of time, as I always say, and enjoy the aroma of the beer before you get stuck into it. But this is quite a highly regarded brewery from what I gather. And you know, it is cool to see that, I guess finally you could say that you know, in the District of Columbia, the capital city, they are starting to get their craft beers out there. So it's really cool to get this one over here in Europe. So yeah, let's have a taste of this one then. So this one is the Turbo Boost Multiball from DC Brau in the capital city of America, Washington DC. My first ever beer from the District of Columbia. So let's get stuck in. Slàinte, Skål, Prost, whatever you want to say. That's pretty good. See that straight away. It's got a nice hoppy kick to it, this beer. And the one thing as well, one of the things that's a little bit of a, that can be a little bit annoying about the about Systembolaget here in Sweden is that sometimes you get the beers imported from America. Sometimes you get it with the Sierra Nevadas and things like that. They're just not as fresh as they should be because they'll sit for a couple of months before they actually make it to the shops. This one really is very fresh. You can tell that from the hops already with this beer. Just watch that this doesn't go too crazy. Farmhouse yeasts, but yeah, this is a good beer. I'll say that. If you get the chance to try this one, you won't be disappointed by it. It's quite different as well, but you can taste that right away with this one, the difference that that farmhouse yeast makes. So yeah, nice big hoppy kick to this one. The malt base, we'll start off with the malt base then. There's a nice white bready quality, that just blankets the middle of your palate. You can feel there's a little bit of pale malt in this one. You can feel that as you go further into the aftertaste, but that bigger, it's not quite a doughy bready yeast that comes out of it, but you can definitely feel there's that slightly bigger white bready presence to this beer. In the middle of the palate there's a little bit of a biscuity sweetness. It's not quite caramel, but definitely a nice sort of biscuity presence to this one. Yeah, you can hear the music from upstairs. But yeah, this is a nice. I do like this beer. It's really nicely done. It has kind of everything you would want from an IPA, and I've said that a few times about some of the American beers that I've had. You know, in recent times there seems to have been this big focus on the kind of haze craze, if you like, and they've forgotten a little bit about the likes of Belgian IPAs. You know, the West Coast IPAs with that little bit more of a caramel malt, but it's even the black IPAs and the Imperial Black IPAs and things. I like this one because it's a little bit of a change of pace. This one, it's not quite a Belgian IPA, it's more, this one in a way reminds me a little bit of one of the very early beers that I had from Brewdog, which was called Electric India. This one in a way, it's a little bit like it's almost a little bit like a hoppy saison in that sense, but it does have a bit more of that IPA hop kick to it, so that's what makes it interesting. You know, after 1,400 beer reviews or so on YouTube, you know, you want things that are a little bit different from the norm, if you like, so yeah. It is good, this one. Have a go at this if you get the chance, because it is something a little bit different. I'm finding that as I'm drinking more and more of this beer, a little bit of the biscuity sweetness, more of that biscuity kind of sweetness is starting to come out of this one. That Norwegian farmhouse yeast is really quite interesting because you can feel that it does really amplify some of these nice fruity qualities to the beer as well. So let's move to the hoppy side of things. On the back corners of the palate, there's a little touch of earthiness there. You always get that. In this case, Mosaic is probably the one that's bringing out that little bit of earthiness. But as you come further forward along the sides of the palate, there's maybe a tiny little bit of herbal quality, but then as you move further along the sides of the tongue, it's a little bit more spicy and floral. Then round the very front curve of the palate, it's just a little bit lighter and grassy, I would say. But yeah, the way the fruity notes are coming out of this one is really nice as well. There's a good little bit of complexity coming out of this beer too. I'm finding that as you go further into the aftertaste on this one, the fruits just get that little bit juicier. So if you go, as I always say, if you go behind the front curve of the palate, you get that little oily mouthfeel, that little oily bubble, and that's where those nice fruity esters start to come out of the beer. So for me, it's passion fruit that's kind of forming the base of this one, and it's really nice. A passion fruit based Simcoe. It was a really popular hop, but I think you know, it seems to be in Europe that less breweries are using it, but it's a hop that I really quite enjoy. That passion fruity note from the Simcoe is kind of forming the linchpin of the fruity side of the beer. And as you go into it a little bit more, some of the pineapple's coming out. I think that's the Azaka that's giving you the pineapple in this, and then you start to get the juicier sort of tangerine orange flavours. I would say it's a little bit, it is probably tangerines because it's that little bit juicier. And as you go further into the flavour of this one, you start to get a little bit of that blueberry note that you can get from Mosaic as well. You can feel that right on the tip of your tongue. There's this nice little bit of that blueberry flavour, but it's a really nicely done beer, this one. I have to admit, I like how this has turned out. Yeah. Definitely right in the centre of your palate, the front, blueberries. The Mosaic really is coming out. So you've got, I would say definitely, you've got the Simcoe at the start, the Azaka is coming out a little bit more in the middle, and then you start to get more of the Mosaic at the end. I always like kind of examining these sort of transitions and things that you get in the beer, but what I will say about that is that's a pretty damn good IPA. I think in terms of the malt base as well, there may well be a little bit of an oaty quality to this one, but I'm not quite sure. Yeah, there's maybe a wee touch of oaty flavour to it, but I don't think it's a New England IPA, this one. To me, this beer kind of goes along the lines, it does, as I say, it reminds me of the Electric India that I had from Brewdog back in the day, back in Scotland, and it really has that kind of feel to it, I would say. But it's a nice beer, that, make no mistake. I mean, the style for me doesn't particularly matter. It's more about whether the beer is of good quality and it tastes nice, and this one certainly does that. So in terms of recommending this beer, if you like these sort of New World Saisons, if you like the kind of New Zealand American brewed hoppy saison beers, I think this is one that you really are going to enjoy. But you know, in terms of my first beer from District of Columbia, can't complain about that at all. It's really nicely done. It's got a good hoppy kick, it's got a nice malt base, and the fruity qualities are very good as well. So have a go at it for yourself and see what you think. In terms of the mouthfeel, I think mid-bodied. Yeah, mid-bodied for this one. Carbonation's quite smooth. The mouthfeel overall, it's not oily, it's a very, very smooth mouthfeel that you're getting from this one. The malt base and the yeasty qualities of this beer make it very smooth. There's a little touch of a biscuity sweetness to it, like I was saying. Good little bit of hoppy bitterness. In terms of IBUs, you know, I'd guess it's maybe around the 50, kind of 60 mark. Maybe 70 at a push. I think it's around the 60-ish mark, to be quite honest with you. Nice bit of juicy fruity quality as well, and you know, it has pretty much everything you'd want. So I think that's a good way to kind of sign off on this one. I've been impressed with this beer, and I do look forward to getting more from DC Brau over here in Scandinavia. So we'll see how it goes. But yeah, Turbo Boost Multiball. If you get the chance to have a go at it, I really recommend that you do. If you like a nice hoppy saison, I think this is a beer that really is going to that's going to hit the spot for you. So yeah, let's leave it at that. So once again, thank you for watching my beer reviews. Until the next time, please like, subscribe, share, all the usual YouTube stuff. Do check out my social media, all the links are in the description below. This one was the Turbo Boost Multiball from DC Brau in Washington DC, District of Columbia, over in America. Very impressed with this beer, and I do look forward to trying more from them. Let me know your own thoughts on this one in the comment section below, and let me know what your favourite beers are from DC Brau if you're watching from over there in Maryland, Virginia, and of course DC itself. And do let me know some other breweries that are opening up in DC as well. That would be really cool to hear. So hopefully I'll get back across there at some point in the future. I was there a good couple of years ago and I really enjoyed it. I remember it being very humid because I think it was built on a swamp from what I remember, but I really enjoyed visiting DC. I visited there twice I think, and I really quite enjoyed it. The Smithsonian was one of my favourite places, and now they've got good craft beer, so I do need to get back. But thank you again for watching, and I will catch you guys very soon. Skål!